Thank you, Mr. Scott. Ms. Leger Fernandez, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And thank you for the expertise and insights you're sharing with us today. And, you know, what we do know is that we want to make sure that we grow our middle class, right? That we invest in America, and we do that by investing in our most valuable resource we have, which is our students, which is us, right? Invest in us, invest in our communities, invest in our families. And so, you know, I think that a lot of what we're talking about today is how do you rate those investments and how do you make sure that they are accomplishing that goal, right? Of helping everybody to help grow that middle class. And so we know that students from low-income backgrounds and those whose parents don't have college experience, that they are less likely than their peers to enroll in college, and sometimes less likely to complete. And in New Mexico, 40% of post-secondary students are first generation, and many of them find themselves navigating this system, which is not easy, right? It's from the FAFSA, this and that. So Ms. Erickson, can you tell us a little bit about what the consequences are of inequities in college access and success for income inequality and social mobility? Because that's what we want to do. We want to bring that social, that economic inequality, grow that middle class. Can you share a bit with us?
Absolutely. I think that, what we really see a stratification across our higher education system, and we've done a lot of work looking at economic mobility that different types of institutions provide. I think why a lot of us really focus on minority serving institutions and HBCUs in particular is that they're great mobility engines. But not all schools are. And I think some of the schools that we hear about the most, that maybe most of the staff that work on the Hill went to, enroll almost no Pell students. And that's really abominable. Those are the schools that have the resources to provide mobility to students that have lower incomes or might have greater needs, and they're not doing the work. And so I don't think we should be rewarding them for perpetuating economic inequality by only enrolling folks that don't need the help that they give. But we do need to really focus on those institutions that are doing the yeoman's work of creating economic mobility, and make sure that we're focused on student success, not just access. I think we often ask on our team, access to what? And just getting through the door doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up with a quality credential or something that's going to allow you to complete, get into the workforce and pay back those loans. And too often, because of the voucher system we've created within the Pell Grant program, which we spend $30 billion on a year, we're actually incentivizing bad actors and predatory programs to go after students who do have that access to the Pell Grant, and then really not provide them any return on investment. And frankly, I think that's very frustrating because that's my money. It's not giving the taxpayers any return on investment either. So I think the gainful employment rule that the administration has just put out, looking at, if you're a career program, do you leave most of your graduates able to make enough money that they can pay back their taxpayer-funded debt? That's a really good step, and there are others. But we have to be able to look at the outcomes for those students, not just whether they're getting in the door, because oftentimes the worst outcome is they get in the door, they fail out, and then they're left with debt that they can't repay.
Another little piece of that, how do you succeed, because we just finished over the last couple, just a few days ago, when you think about it, about 10 days ago, thinking about how do we make sure that you are able to learn? Mm-hmm. And we know that that's why we have the nutrition in schools programs. That's why we have SNAP. We really need to make sure that you are able to learn. And we know that there are too many students, post-secondary students, who are homeless and who are hungry. And we need to address that. That's true in New Mexico, where we have 60% of higher education students are food insecure, and 20% of graduate students, they know what their goal is, wow, but they don't have a place to live. So I wanted to I see that my time's up, but I will send these questions so that you could send us written answers to the panel about this, of how do we address these basic living needs so that those students can actually realize the success that higher education should provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leger Fernandez. I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. Dr. Rennick, I've followed your work at Georgia State University for years.